other one has a plain gripping section. This is also very nice gripping section. Indian pens, Indian pens, Indian pens, Indian pens. Everybody wants to see stories about Indian pens. Everybody wants me to cover Indian pens. All of you are enamored, all of you are in love with Indian pens, and everyone kind of wants the new year to begin on a very Indian note. So, what I am going to do today is talk about an Indian pen, a class of Indian pens, not that are not only Indian, but that are very much Kolkata pens, pens that have been made in Kolkata for the last say 20 here, 30 there, say 40, 50 years, and which are still being made in Kolkata, and they're sent to various places, not only in Bengal, but they are sent in good numbers. Even today, as we speak, at the fag end of 2022, at the beginning of 2023, they are still sent in huge numbers to the south of India, to Tamil Nadu and Kerala and all these places, where they are used primarily in the schools by children for their writing, for their studies, and some are also exported to neighboring countries like Bangladesh and to Sri Lanka. So these are, despite what everyone says, this is one example of the Indian fountain pen industry, or the fountain pen industry that was here in Kolkata from long before I was born, and which is still thriving, though in a very niche, in a small segment of the market. Now, to be very honest with you, this is the lower end of the market, where these are, without the fuss and frill pens. These are pens which are used for the purpose they were made, that is to be written with. And most of the collectors, most people who are into fountain pen collecting as a hobby, have kind of, for whatever reasons, primarily because not many people know of these pens, they have passed them by. So I thought, why not take up one of these pens and highlight them, show them to you as a New Year gift. I'm sure you're going to like it. See, the person who makes these pens is a gentleman who is widely known in the fountain pen community. He is pretty well known in the community because he is very active as a seller of different kinds of pens and inks, and he is very he has a very strong and vibrant profile in the social media space also. So most of you people know him, but you know him as a seller. What you don't know is that, maybe you don't know, maybe you do, correct me if I'm wrong, but the point is, maybe you don't know, is the fact that this gentleman has his own setup in a place called the Canalist Road here, which is in in the eastern fringes of Calcutta. Now, where he makes these pens, he's been making them for many decades, at least 3 to 4 decades now, and he's in this business, and these pens are pretty well known. So if you, in the segment that he deals in, so what I'll do is I'll show 2 of his models. I'd requested him to come over the other day to give me his pens. He was here, and I've taken two of his pens, and I thought I'll show them to you. So what I'll do is I have been I have been using one of these pens because I have inked it, and I have been writing with this pen for the last couple of days just to see how well this pen works. So this is one of the two pens. As you can see, this is a transparent barrel pen with a steel clip. The clip is good as opposed to most pens in this price range where the clip tends to be very flimsy. This clip is pretty solid. I like it, and it has the usual ring bands, but these ring bands, these are not real metal ring bands. They are printed on the barrel, on the cap. So, and it wears off if you scratch it, but that does not impede the function of the pen, and it has a plastic fid, as you can see, and has what is commonly known in the market a Tibet nib, a Tibet. So, when I first came across this term, I was pretty surprised. I mean, why Tibet of all the places in the map? Why Tibet? Then I realized that these are actually tipped nibs. These are tipped nib pens, and the tip word has somehow etymologically has shifted to be called tipped. Anyway, that's beside the point. And this is eyedropper filler, and as you can see, I have filled up the pen with ink. I've been using it for the last couple of days, and as we proceed, what I'll do is I'll write about this, write with this pen and show you. Let me also show you the other pen that I took from him. This has a slightly different design, but instead of a see-through barrel, this has a black barrel. There is the gripping section has has perforations. It's got these wavy rings around it, so it's pretty pleasurable to hold the pen. This pen also, the other one, has a plain gripping section. This is also very nice gripping section. To be honest, the weight of the pen is also very good. It's not a very heavy pen. Even with the ink, it's not very heavy. So it's a pretty lightweight pen, and I'm sure since these pens are made for children, I'm sure the children like using these pens. There are a couple of other things that I want to tell you about these pens. When we were kids, I'm talking about the late 70s, early 80s, the pen to desire in school used to be a wing sung, because all the Schaeffers and the Parkers and all other pens were for the rich boys. We were middle class people, so the pen to desire, the ultimate pen that we could aspire for, was a wing sung. But the pen that we used to write the most with, the pen that most of us had in our pencil boxes or in our pockets, used to be either a Glory or an Artex. Now, incidentally, very interestingly, Artex pens were of same quality as these pens. These are, they don't look like Artex, number one. They may not have they may not have articles written, but the material with which these pens are made are, are the same materials with which Artex pens were made in those days. And I'm saying this for two reasons. Number one, I have a couple of Artex pens with me, and I compared these pens with the Artex ones, and they are similar in look and feel. As far as the materials go. And number two, because I asked the manufacturer, and he claimed yes, because Artix, in all probability, at least towards the end, was not a single window manufacturing facility. They used to get different parts and components manufactured from different people and just put them all together. And this person who makes these pens was also one of the suppliers for Artex, which makes it very interesting. So that's number one. Number two, and very interesting point, is that these pens are at least half the price or even lower. These pens are available at half the price or even lower than the cheapest Chinese pen that is available in the Indian market. China se sasta, here, see the pens. They are here in India, they are made in India, they have been made in India for years at an end. If we don't know it, it's our fault. It's our fault because it's my fault because I have not brought these pens to you before or towards the beginning of this YouTube journey or my blogging journey. But the fact is that these pens are available, and these are extremely cheap pens which are not only here for anyone to pick up, but they're there and they have a history. They have a solid history, a legacy as Calcutta products, as India products, and they are still exported. And they still find many users. Now, what else do I say? There's this person, I don't think I mentioned the name of the person behind these pens. The name of the person is Mr. Sudhin Pal. Most of you, or at least some of you, definitely know him. Now, Sudhin Pal has been in this business for close to 4 decades now, according to him. And he's making these pens. The problem that many people keep asking me, why are people like Sudhin Pal, who have a history of making pens, who know how they are made, who can who are in the business for so many years, why aren't they coming up with new models? So I'd asked him, and he says, the problem with these pens are, there are 2 or 3 reasons why he cannot come up with more and more models like the Chinese do or like other people are capable of doing. Number one is the mold. Now, a mold costs a huge amount of money if you consider the per unit sale price of these pens. If you are selling this pen at a price point which is cheaper than the price point at which the Chinese are selling their bulk produced pens, then you don't have much profits in selling these pens. You can make it, anybody can deduce that. Now, with that kind of money, you don't have enough capital to invest in getting new molds. And if you don't have new molds, you don't have new designs. You cannot introduce more designs. So that's one problem. The second problem is the availability of raw materials, which of course is a perhaps a short-term problem, with the cycles of pricing and commodity pricing and things like that. So that may not be a big problem. But the third problem that they have is that of demand. That of demand. Most of you people will not buy this pen because this does not come with a foreign name tag. This does not come with a swank box or with the kind of quality assurances that most of the pens that you buy or you collect give. But this is a poor man's pen, and this is a poor man who picks up a pen for his son, and he does not want to invest much because his son either breaks the pen or because he leaves it at school, it gets misplaced, and so this is a poor man's pen, and that's about it. So you guys will not be buying these pens. That's why they don't have that kind of demand. If they don't have that kind of demand, they don't make that kind of money. If they don't make that kind of money, they're scared because before this internet boom, this industry had virtually died, and when it had died, there were no takers. So that time they had to eke out a living, and they're scared that it might come back. So that's why they don't want to invest. So what we have to do is to convince people like Sudhin Pal and other manufacturers that, hey, the fountain pen, we are so many fountain pen lovers here now, and we are going to buy your products, and we are going to support you. So make that investment, and maybe, who knows? I mean, I am hopeful, and I'll keep my fingers crossed. But let me give you some writing samples, and see, the great thing about this pen, I just took it out, and it's writing straight off, and see, it's a bit scratchy. The nib comes from a place called Sattur, which is in Tamil Nadu. It's a hard nib, it's a hard nibbed tip nib, and this is made for the roughest use. So these are at very low price points, and the fact that at this price point you have a pen which writes in itself is a miracle. So I won't take it any further. And what else do I write? I mean, see how fast I mean, the ink is also very dry, so so it writes well. And this is, as you all know, this is Xerox paper. I primarily write on normal Xerox paper so as to, use it as the most challenging of surfaces. So here it skips from time to time, but it writes, and it writes pretty well. So here is inked happiness. I hope you guys can see this. Wishing you all a happy New Year 2023 with an Indian pen. Hope you like it. Here's the writing, if you can see, and here's the pen. Do you want me to fill up the other pen and show you how it writes? I'll do that also. Just hang on for a second, give me a second. I will also fill up this pen with blue ink. What ink? Let's fill this up with blue ink and show you how it writes. Takes in a lot of ink. As you can see, this takes in a lot of ink. What I normally do is I dip the nib and the feed section in the ink so as to give it some chance to be wet before or there's another trick, you can wash the pen in plain water before pouring the ink in. So the feed becomes, it becomes easier for the feed to, let's see how this one writes. So here, see, this one writes straight out also. So here I write Happy New Year. From Kolkata. These are Sudhin Pal pens. I don't know the name of his company. I don't know what he calls them. But see, they write well. So I guess I will bid adieu now with these two pens. These are my New Year gifts to all of you. And what else do I say? Nice pens, and very, at this price point, this is a fantastic buy, like you can just buy them and write with them and use them for as long as you want. I incidentally, the question that I asked Sudhin Pal when he was here is, how long does a pen like this last? Because at this price point, it's not that it will make a huge difference to you, but how long does it, I mean, are they brittle? Do they get broken, or the nibs break? Because when we were in school, the feed would dry up, the nib would dry up, and we would take a blade. We used to have those old-fashioned shaving blades those days, and we used to clean the channel. We used to pour them in water overnight and then refill, and we used to do a whole lot of things to mend our pens. But most young people who are into pens, who have taken it up as a hobby lately, don't know about these tricks. So that's why they tend to become very edgy and very finicky when a pen skips a bit or does not write the way they want to write right from the beginning. But I asked Sudhin Pal, how long do you think would be a normal life cycle of this pen? So he immediately pulled out a pen from his pocket and he told me, look, Dada, I'm using this for the last 2 years and you can write with it and see. So these are fairly, I mean, as opposed to whatever, a cursory glance might tell you, but these are pens that have a fairly long life as well, provided you write with them properly. Two things: your grip must be right for the pen to be written with, don't and number two, don't exert too much of pressure, because most of us have somehow become attuned to using dot pens, where we put an immense amount of pressure to write. Now, it's not, I mean, this is about the ink flowing on paper, this is about the dance of the nib on paper. So use less pressure. I mean, this is not politics that you are in, that you have to pressurize people to do your bidding. So because this is about a pleasure, this is a pleasure game. So use a little amount of pressure to write with it, otherwise the nibs may get damaged. But that's about it. I mean, if you want, I can recommend I can closely, with my eyes closed, I can recommend that you can get these pens, and you can start a fountain pen journey. And these are, I mean, by far the cheapest pens that I have come across in India, and they are a very good deal. I mean, what else is there to see? Oh, Happy New Year, and thank you for watching, and please subscribe, and please share my videos with your friends, and please write your comments, because it's through your comments that I learned so many things that I want. As a matter of fact, this video is dedicated to this gentleman from the United States who keeps writing to me from Hawaii, and he has been insisting that we do more India-centric videos, India pen-centric videos, and this is a gift to you. And let me also take this opportunity to say hi to my very good friend Howard Koenig's, also in the United States, and to all of you who wanted to see a video of this nature. I hope you like it, and please write back, please give us your comments and your brickbats, because that will only help me improve my kind of offering to you. And, so that's it. Goodbye and happy new year.
আরো ভ্যারাইটিস প্রোডাক্ট আছে, এগুলো নর্মাল সাউথ ইন্ডিয়ায় যায় আর কি, স্কুল স্টুডেন্টের জন্য ব্যাস।
ভেতর ফিলিং সিস্টেম কি আছে? আই ড্রপার
নর্মাল আই ড্রপার পেন। এগুলো এটাও আই ড্রপার, এটা আপনার ট্রান্সপারেন্ট রয়েছে, এটা অবশ্য মুখটা খোলা রয়েছে।